Hi! So, in my first video, I've shown a prototype for a 2D in 3D platforming game featuring a warped movement space. This system had a lot of issues, so I've got to work and re-implemented a lot of new features, such as the snapping pieces system, the new level tube system, the ribbon white boxes, and the camera controller. We've already talked about the snapping system in my previous video, so let's jump into the next feature, the level tube system. My name is Álvaro Pérez, and this is the third devblog of, well, it doesn't have a name yet. So, in the previous video we talked about how I have a snapping pieces system, so I can build levels from small elements that I can stitch together. I think this piece system is very complete and extensible, but of course the biggest problem to solve was the level curve. The objective here is to move away from the classic left to right side-scrolling platformer and curve the axis of movement. But then I realized I could curve it in any 3D direction, which of course complicates things. Let's dive into the solution. The idea is this. Each piece contains a series of tube-face objects which are like the control points of a traditional curve. Each tube face is linked to the next, and I can tweak them, including in and out tangents, but also top and bottom transforms, which gives an easier but also more powerful way to define the up direction than a curved 3D tilt. By linking these faces together, I get a series of volumetric segments which define the warp space my character moves in. So that sort of defines a tube in which the character moves, and where you are in the tube defines your movement axis, which direction you move towards when you move to the right, and also the up direction. In fact, for each pair of faces I get two segments, one for the top side and another for the bottom, which gives me more flexibility than the previous system. By having full control of the top and bottom segments, I can easily tweak my pieces to prevent segment overlaps, which were the main cause of issues in my previous system. And by having the curve contained in the piece, I can edit it and make sure it's alright before deploying it in a level. And the snapping system is going to help me connect these pieces together. Once I place pieces on the level, I can use some tools to connect the unconnected tube faces together, making the level a continuous tube that I can see and verify before playing. During runtime, each pair of connected tube faces are baked into many tube segments in the shape of warp polyhedra, which means that it's a shape with 6 sides and some faces not actually being planes due to twisting. The left and right faces are flat, but then the rest of the faces might be twisted depending on the roll angle between the left and right faces. These warp polyhedra are then post-processed by grouping contiguous segments and grouped in a hierarchical AABB system so that determining your current axis is not especially expensive. This is necessary because the underlying math for determining where you are within each individual segment is not exactly trivial. It uses the Newton-Raphson method in 3 dimensions, solving Jacobian matrices over a number of iterations. Well, that was a mouthful. So yeah, reducing the number of polyhedra you need to check through clever use of AABBs was a must, especially as the level grows. The segments AABBs are grouped by piece, and then these top-level AABBs are organized in a 3D grid, so that I only need to check so many pieces for a given position. Another cool thing that I've developed was this level access gizmo, which allows me to sample data from the baked level in addition time. I can sample points in a sphere, check which AABBs were tested, and get information about all 3 axes. This allowed me to do a lot of debugging even before being able to test if my tube system was working. So let's see it in action. I can move in this straight section, like this, then the curve. Now things start to get trippy. What used to be left, now is up, and you can see how the space is hugging this corner and it's all smooth and continuous. Now we're back to regular up, but here comes the corkscrew. I'll explain how these ribbons work in the next episode, but notice that the character axes follow the direction of the ribbon. And now, some old flat curves. Or are they? Oh wait, we're actually upside down. Neat. One last thing. On the level design side, I can disable the tube faces on the pieces I don't need, because the tube information is in a different piece. I can extend them by pushing the top and bottom transforms away. And I can even flip the direction of the tube faces, so that I can use the same piece in different contexts. Like a curve towards the right, becoming a curve towards the left. That way I don't need to make and maintain two different pieces. So I hope that was easy to understand. I didn't want to dive too deep into this, but this system was really fun to implement and I was so happy to finally get it right. This is something that can differentiate my game, but will also introduce a whole cohort of issues in the long time in terms of level design, art, not to mention the camera, which we'll talk about in a future video. But before that one, we'll talk about the final boss of level pieces, ribbon shapes. Now we can have pieces in any direction. What if it's a corkscrew, or just any kind of curve? We'll look into that in the next video. So what's next with this? One way I could expand on this feature is by adding track jumping. So in other games, you position your character in front of a door of a house and press up to warp your character into the indoor level. But what if I could use the tube system to just change you into a different lane, a different level tube that goes inside the house, and make that transition organic? Then I could just make some walls of the house fade out so you can see the inside. The first part should be as easy as adding flags to each tube, so you only detect tubes with a matching flag. I wanna build that. So thank you for watching, my name is Álvaro Pérez and this was my third devblog. See you in the next one!